Welcome back to Crystal Clear on the Roundtable. I'm Vox, and we have our first real update on the Steven Universe movie. As you all know, Steven Universe is in the middle of a hiatus right now, one that's taken a lot longer than I think any of us expected. The promo at the end of Reunited for the next arc definitely painted an impression of the show returning soon. Soon as in August or September, just like how a Singapore Rose had a stinger for Now We're Only Falling Apart, which we got after a month break, but it seems like Cartoon Network is taking a longer break than usual. Maybe plans have changed, I don't know, but I know we're all clamoring for news, so I'm very excited to talk about this. Now, the Steven Universe movie is still slated to come out next year. Nothing has changed with that. We actually got that date from a press release. When in 2019, we don't know, but I'm hoping they would finish airing this season first. Now, don't forget, we're actually doing a social media campaign to get the Steven Universe movie in theaters as a limited release. Hashtag Steven Saturday. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. And don't forget, we put a bunch of designs back up on our Teespring due to high demand. I'm always feeling blue, the Diamond Crashers, Plan of Attack, Bingo Bongo, Roundtable Black and Blue, Retro Primo, and so much more. So the link to that will be in the description. Now, our first major update since the announcement of the movie is that the studio animating the film has been confirmed via the Crewniverse Tumblr. On Tuesday, October 16th, the Crewniverse posted, "Today, members of our animation team at Summon Image Pictures came to visit. They are hard at work on the movie. Have we mentioned that we're working on a movie? Here's the storyboard for the movie." So for those of you who are out of the loop, who is Sunman? Is this a good thing? What's up with that pile of storyboards? Don't worry, we're going to touch on all of that. First off, Summon Image Pictures is animating. Now, the fact they visited the Crewniverse could either be for recreational or business purposes. Casual visits are common within studios, so it wouldn't be surprising, but considering they're located in South Korea, that's a pretty big trip. I feel as if they came to discuss the movie. Perhaps there's a sequence the crew wants animated a certain way, so they needed the team to come to them directly and consult them. We're not really sure, but if this visit was tied to the movie, I'm definitely excited they're going the extra mile for this. And guys, this movie is already going to look great. Sunman is one of the two studios who animate Steven Universe regularly, alongside other Cartoon Network shows like Criger the Creek, the Powerpuff Girls 2016, the Ben 10 reboot, OKKO, and future shows such as Infinity Train. I'm also assuming Victor and Valentino. Now, the other studio who handles the show and other Cartoon Network properties is Rough Draft, but Sunman is vastly superior. It's really no contest. The two studios usually alternate episodes, so one will usually be Sunman, one will usually be Rough Draft, although lately it's been 2 in a row, so 2 Rough Draft in a row, 2 Sunman in a row. For example, Now We're Only Falling Apart, What's Your Problem? That was Rough Draft. The Question and Maid of Honor? That was Sunman. However, if it's a half-hour episode like Reunited, they animate different segments. For example, Sunman always takes over the second half of half hours when the action sequences usually kick in. A good way to compare the two studios is when Sunman takes over in Reunited. Everything up to Blue Diamond hitting Steven with one of her blasts is Rough Draft. Everything from Steven falling to Alexandra's hand onwards is Sunman. During Bismuth, Sunman takes over in the middle of the Crystal Gems sparring sequence, starting when Pearl dives into for Triton, and Bismuth catches her with a hammer-shaped hand. Now, in Gem Harvest, Sunman actually comes in a little bit later than usual for a half hour, coming in exactly at the 11-minute and 31-second mark, with the shot of the fan. They always try to have smooth transitions with the two studios, and you may not notice the first time when watching the episode, but when you notice the differences between the two, you'll never be able to unsee it. Rough Draft and Sunman have too many differences, both in quality and just in the way they draw everything. Again, the best way to compare is Reunited. Just take a shot of Steven in his tux when Rough Draft is animating, and then take a shot of him standing in his tux when Sunman takes over. I've talked about this before, but Rough Draft has very thin lines, and their proportions tend to look a little bit off, and the eyes look a little bit more beady and soulless. I actually think the eyes are a good defining factor, because when you compare it to Sunman, everything is infinitely smoother. There's varying line depth, it's a lot more on model, Steven looks less like a Looney Tunes character, it's good stuff. And if you guys are wondering, yes, Rough Draft was responsible for Same Old World, aka the episode where everyone complained about Peridot and Lapis' hair. Everyone just had really big hair in that episode, everyone felt weird about it after. The storyboarder Lamar Abrams made a joke about it, with Lapis and Peridot's hair being way larger than their heads. And while yes, I do think the storyboarding is accountable to an extent, the studio still should have caught that. And while the hair isn't ginormous, it's not like they're drawn much better in subsequent Rough Draft episodes. I just think Sunman looks a lot more natural, while Rough Draft, as brutal as it sounds, usually looks like a fan episode, or probably a more accurate analogy, it looks like they're just tracing over the storyboards. And I have no idea how any of that animation works over in Korea, but I would not be surprised if that isn't too far from the truth. Rough Draft is also more prone to animation errors. I think the biggest case is Yellow Diamond's eyes, and both of Yellow Diamond's Rough Draft appearances, Message Received, and Lecture in the Homeworld, you may notice that Yellow Diamond's eyes constantly change. While her iris is always supposed to be yellow, her eye itself is supposed to be white. However, However, in Rough Draft episodes, it constantly changes from being tinted yellow back to white, tinted yellow back to white. It was really bad in Lectureman to Homeworld. Sometimes it was in the same shot. So as you guys can tell, I definitely have a bias against that studio, but luckily, Rough Draft isn't mentioned in the Crewniverse's post, so it's possible someone could be animating the entirety of the film, which is for the best, and to me, that guarantees this film will look phenomenal. I don't know what that means for the actual show. Could this mean the episodes of storyboarding right now have a few Rough Draft episodes in a row? Or will it still be that usual trade-off? I'm not really sure. But if we get a good-looking movie, it may be a good price to pay. Maybe Rough Draft will just take care of all the tiny episodes in the meantime. And don't get me wrong, I do respect Rough Draft. I respect any animation studio who's cranking out quality television. I just think, especially with Steven Universe, they could be doing a lot better. For example, their work on Star Wars: The Forces of Evil is amazing. If you want to get a good look of Rough Draft in their best, check out the fight between Star and Meteora in the episode Conquer. They really brought those storyboards to life in a way I'm not sure any other studio could. So it may just be a budget and money thing between Cartoon Network when compared to Disney, which is unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Now, the storyboards in this picture are actually grouped by the 3-act structure. Act 3 having the most storyboards, which is very interesting as it likely means Act 3 has a dynamic action sequence, something that requires a lot more motion and scene changes than the rest of the film, something for a big climactic finish. Act 1 has the second most storyboards, and Act 2 has just a little bit less than Act 1, although the second act may just be a little bit more dialogue heavy and requires less storyboards, but we have no way of telling at the moment. But just the fact we have these stacks upon stacks of storyboards tells me we're in for a great time. And if you're wondering how long is this movie, we're not sure. I'm not sure if Cartoon Network is going to publicly dispel that information, but typically most Cartoon Network television films are around 60 to 70 minutes without commercials, so 90 minutes with commercials. Look at Foster's Home, Destination Imagination, Regular Show the movie. They're a little bit over an hour without commercials, but take up that 90-minute time slot whenever they're on air. Although my favorite Cartoon Network TV movie by far has to be Codename Kids Next Door Operation Zero, which is also 90 minutes with commercials, followed by The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy Big Boogie Adventure. So if the Steven Universe movie can measure up to any of those, I'll be beyond content. Although I believe the record for the longest running Cartoon Network movie right now is Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show with a runtime of 89 minutes, which is 2 hours with commercials. I would love if the Steven Universe movie was 2 hours. Could you imagine? Granted, with commercials, but still. Feature length? Sign me up. Now, the fact they're animating this film means that the runtime is probably solidified. Usually things get cut, widen up as deleted scenes during the animatic process, so they probably have an idea of how long it's going to be. Now, don't forget, every Saturday we are doing Steven Saturday, which is a social media campaign to get the Steven Universe movie in theaters. So on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, post your fan art, post your theories, post your support, but be sure to tag Cartoon Network directly and say, hey, we want the Steven Universe movie in theaters, even if it is as a limited release. I think Steven Universe is something special. Its fan base is something special. With an audience so diverse of all ages, it'd be magical to experience this in theaters. Now, New York Comic Con is done, Beach City Con is done, so I'll be able to do those Saturday streams I've been talking about. So this Saturday, we'll do a Steven Saturday stream. Come on out, show your support. Be sure you tweet, post on Instagram, Tumblr, tag Cartoon Network, use the hashtag Steven Saturday, and get the ball rolling. As always, we want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? How long would you like the Steven Universe movie to be? Let us know in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts directly to me at OstricVox, or at the Roundtable on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Roundtable Vids. If you went up the Roundtable Grow, support us on Patreon. Get access to exclusive perks, and your name could be at the end of the video. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Steven. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OstricVox, out.